we're going to get started. It's about 5 minutes past 1 o'clock. First of all, thanks so much for coming out today, taking some time throughout your day to learn more about Get Involved. But before we get started, I just want to go through kind of what we're going to be talking about today. This is an interactive workshop, so we want you all to bring your questions, have your laptops out, potentially your phones if you don't have a laptop, to ask any questions you have. We realize that some of you are maybe a part of organizations that are brand new, some of them that have been around for quite some time. You might be part of new leadership, you might be a new member in your organization. But we wanted to hold this session to essentially help you get to know the ins and outs of the Get Involved website and what DOSO has to offer. We always start with a land acknowledgement of the space that we're on today. So the Dean of Students Office would like to acknowledge that the land that Wayne State University is on is the original homelands of the Meskwaki, Peora, Anishinaabe, Potawatomi, and the Miami Nation people. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this territory. We honor and respect the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. Before we dive into the agenda, I want to introduce the staff that are in the room as well. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Brandon Shamoon. I am the Coordinator of Student Engagement in the Dean of Students Office. I oversee a lot of the larger scale student programs on campus, such as Orientation Part 2, which includes Festival, Student Org Day, Homecoming Court, Winterfest, a lot of the Student Organization Day programs we put on, in addition to the Alternative Spring Break Detroit program. And then I'll pass it off to Heather.
Heather Marks, I'm the Associate Director of Student Life Marketing. I'm the super admin that runs the Get Involved platform on campus. I'm also in charge of all the marketing that comes out of the Students Office, the Get Involved newsletter, the building displays you see around campus, and a lot of the reporting and everything of the training videos that we'll show you guys.
Thanks. Ricardo.
Hey everybody. Hello, welcome. I'm Ricardo Villarosa. I work with the Engage team. I'm the one who, if you submit your registration updates, if you have blogger requests, work on the back of there and then support Brandon.
Thank you. We have two student engagement navigators as well, so I'll introduce them as well. So Sandra, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Sandra. I'm a senior. I just started working with Brandon as an engagement navigator, so basically just helps student orgs get more involved with our students, and vice versa, helps students get more involved in student orgs and stuff.
Hi everyone, I'm Lola Ramiza. I'm in my senior year and I'm a kinesiology major. I also work with Sandra and Brandon and I'm an engagement navigator. So I'm basically here to help you with your various student organization needs.
Awesome. And for those that don't know where the Dean of Students office is, we're located on the 3rd floor, so right above us in this building. So if you need any support, if you're a registered student organization or trying to get registered, etc., we'll be able to help you out within that space there. So we wanted to get a feel of what organizations are in here. So are there new leadership members in here or new members of an organization? If you want to raise your hand. Okay, so we have a few folks. Some folks, I'm assuming the rest of y'all have been involved in some way. Has everyone used Get Involved at least for something? Have at least know what the website is? Yes? Okay. We have a brief rundown, as you can see on our agenda today, which is pretty in-depth, but we're not going to necessarily stick to only just these things. So if you have any specific questions, feel free to raise your hand, ask questions, let us know what features you might be concerned about or want to use, and we'll talk about if there's things that are offered there. But we want to make it as interactive as possible. We understand there's different levels of experience using the platform, but we're going to I'm going to turn to Heather for a lot of the stuff as well to aid with this. So we're going to start off first with just the overall basics of the Get Involved site. And a lot of the stuff we talk about today can also be found in the training videos that Heather has mentioned. So you can kind of go back to those and watch the videos on your own time. But this is meant for you all to learn about it for yourself, but also bring it back to your student org members so they also could utilize it. And if they were not able to come today, or if you missed something, Sandra and Gold are always available to answer questions via email as well to aid with that throughout the time here within your organization. So we're not going to really stick to a PowerPoint. We're just going to go on the website and kind of walk you all through different things. But first, I wanted to just highlight the DOSO site to kind of show where all these things are. So if you go to the doso.wayne.edu website, a lot of stuff that we're talking about will be under student organization resources and then training. You also can go to doso.wayne.edu/training to get directly to this page. If you're just a general student trying to figure out the ins and outs of getting involved or finding your event pass, etc., you would use this first left column here. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today can be found on the right column. So managing your roster, sending out messages, renewing your, registering for your student organization, making events on Get Involved, applying for funding, etc. will all be listed on this site. And when you click on it, for example, creating an event, it'll not only have a video, but also step-by-step screenshots where you can actually walk through it that way as well, as you can see here. So are there any specific questions before we just dive in this so we can kind of know what our hour and a half or so is like? Do y'all have any specific questions that you want us to consider before I start everything that we have already planned so we can kind of make sure there's room in our program for the day? Yes. Okay, so the first question was how to transfer your membership or your roster from year to year?
Yeah, and how do you train so that it's stable?
Okay, so how to have effective transitions and making sure it's stable from year to year for folks that haven't heard it on that side. We'll make sure we talk about how to have proper transition guides, how to make sure your roster's up to date, how to register towards the end part of the program as we talk about all the features and whatnot. Are there any other questions? Specific questions? Heather, feel free to know. Okay, cool. All right, so we're just gonna start off then with some training basics of using the Get Involved platform. So getinvolved.wayne.edu. Everyone has an account. If you're a Wayne State student, employee, whatever it may be, just log in through the Wayne State login system here, and you'll get connected. And so if you're just trying to search for, if you're just like a student, for example, trying to search for your organization, say you're really interested in history, you can type in like history as a keyword. The events will pop up here that might have that keyword within it. Then there's organization. So if you really want to learn about the history club, you can click on that. And so if it pops up, it either means the event is coming up or that the organization that is popping up is active. So everything that we do, as you all may know, you have to re-register at the end of the winter semester. So we're registering students and student organizations throughout the summer. So when you come back in the fall, now everything is active and up to date. So everything that you see on the website should theoretically be active. This student organization, for example, the History Club, has gone in and has updated the information. So all the contact information here should be accurate as of this academic year, because they have to do it every year. And then any upcoming events will be listed on this site, and any officers, or if you want to view their full roster, can also be down below. Documents, discussion, etc., all down here. And these are things that you all can do within your organization, and we'll chat more about in a bit. Going back to the homepage, there's alerts here. So just any notifications that DOSO or the Get Involved admin want to notify you about will be right here. So a lot of the stuff that we just discussed with the trainings, this is right here, like how to register a new org, how to re-register the roster, transition, how to use Get Involved. That's the training link right there. Additional resources for organizations. These are all like the big alert topics. If there's any, like for example, the meeting today was alert, so we just like try to put some things on top there for you all to see. If you're part of one or many organizations on their rosters, it'll be linked here, so you can see that I am a part of a lot of organizations. A lot of it's just for me to be in the loop with some other orgs. If you've RSVP'd for any events, which we'll talk about, they'll be listed down here. And then just all events in general. Here's like a screenshot or like a sneak peek of the events tab on top. And then any news or other details will be at the bottom as well here. So if we go into events, just to give you a brief rundown of what else the site has to offer, there's also all the general events that are categorized as student and staff on Get Involved will be listed here. So this is more so if you're logged in, you'll see something different than if you weren't logged in, because most of our events, I would say, will be only visible to folks that are logged in versus just the general public, because sometimes you only want your students and Wayne State students and affiliates to basically see the event. It'll show you the day and time, if it's online, if it's in person, the organization name that's hosting it. If there's multiple organizations, it'll be listed there. And then you can also filter by different categories on the left side. So if you are really trying to just find an organization that is, if you're an employee, for example, or let's find something else. If you want to find an organization that's doing a movie or film, you can see that when you filter that down, it kind of shows you just those in the category. And we'll talk more about how to add those filters and those categories within your organization when you create events. Same thing goes with all these other filters as well. So let's go ahead and go to the organizations tab before we dive into events. So if you're looking for an organization without the keyword feature, you can actually go on this tab and find all of the registered student organizations and potentially departments and programs on campus. As you can see, we not only have student orgs in here, but we have some departments, and you can filter by, if you only want to use student orgs, and filter by just student organizations. And these are all the active student organizations. You won't see those organizations that are not active within this area here. You also can browse by category. Say if you want to find a student organization that is affiliated potentially with the School of Business, and so that's how you can break it down even further based on potentially your school or college or your academic major interest, or maybe a hobby, for example. That's how you can narrow it down even more. If you're looking to register another student organization outside of your own, all it takes is 2 students, you and another registered student, and you can do that through the register an organization button right here, and there's a whole process for that. It's also on the training page. There's a news button here if there's any positions or anything that your organization may post, or another organization, or DOSO, for example. You can populate those things within here. And of course, forms that are more general, not listed within your organization. Heather will maybe talk about the DOSO promo request, so that's the first thing that's always going to be started on top. Any general things, changing your student org name, etc. will be listed here. This is outside of just of your student organization's forms, because you can also have some internal forms as well. So just make sure. So we talked about finding events, but there might be some questions on how to create an event, and we're going to dive into that. And I'll probably just use the Engagement Navigators one. So as you can see, we have events coming up, and so when you click on your page, it'll, like I mentioned, it kind of shows what is happening within your organization, not the overall broad page there. But if you click on either your page and go to manage, or you can also go to this waffle icon in the top right corner next to your image, or your it might be an initial, for example. You can click on manage there, and then from there, let me just hide that for a second. You can go down to your memberships and click on the organization that you want to manage. If you're only a part of one, there only might be one here. If you're part of 15, like I am on this page, you'll see multiple. Once you're in this tab, or this page here, you're on the managed side of the organization. You'll click on this hamburger icon. We like to use different food options. So we have hamburger and waffle icons there. So the 3 lines, and then the 9 squares. If you go down, so this is kind of like your organization's tools, and you can manage your roster, edit your about page, have events, news, gallery. But we're going to talk about first here the events, because that was the first thing on our agenda for today. So if you have events, when you go into your Manage Events page on Get Involved, you'll see from default all your events. And so that'll include current ones that are coming up and past ones. If you're trying to find events that are only coming up, you'll click on current, and it'll bring up events that are today and moving forward. Of course, if you're trying to look at things that are only happening in the past, you can do that as well here. So we'll just go to those current ones. It's really easy to create an event. Once you're on this page, all you have to do is click on the blue button to click Create Event. And then it's going to ask you the basic event questions here. So we can, I'll walk through this with you all just so that you all can see how it goes through the whole process. Also how it shows up on the Get Involved website. So we'll just type in test events. And so that you want to click a theme. Maybe it's a learning event like this one. You'll add a description. I'll just write test there, but you can make it as long as you'd like there. And you also can embed a YouTube video. So if you have a YouTube link, all you can do, you can just paste the link there. And when you go to your event description page, it'll also have the YouTube video linked in there as well. If you are co-hosting an event with another student organization or department, you can type in that information here. So like, for example, the Dean of Students office, if we're working alongside with an event, you can put that there, or if you're working with another student organization. So the event, place, and time, this is where you're going to notify or denote if your program is in person or if it's online. So we'll just say it's in person for now. This event will be tomorrow at noon for an hour, from noon to 1, location in the ballroom, for example. You can add an address, and this will come in handy when you're using the Cork app, because you can actually see on the Cork app, which we'll talk about, where it's located. So if you don't know the address, you can look it up, but also it'll actually bring up a map here. And then if you're trying to add another location, maybe it's a reoccurring event, you can do that right here, so you don't have to go back in and keep on doing this over and over. Say it's an event that's every Friday. You just want to go in and change the locations and kind of do the same thing for every event.
Small little addition about why you should co-sponsor events. Speaking for like fraternities and sororities, for example, this is a great reason for co-sponsoring. So fraternities and sororities have their council chapters also within the system, but they also have a fraternity and sorority life page. If you co-sponsor with both of those groups, it creates a combined calendar. So for example, like MDC, the Multicultural Council, if all of their fraternities and sororities co-sponsor with them, you have one MDC calendar. If they then co-sponsor with fraternities and sororities, you have an entire fraternity and sorority calendar. So you can do stuff like that to create combined calendars for like organizations. Also, if you have applied for SAFB funding, you can then co-sponsor with SAFB, which we're also going to talk about today. Co-sponsor with SAFB, and then we have one SAFB calendar as well. So use that co-sponsoring to your advantage, because then, for example, if you have a website somewhere, then you can link to fraternity and sorority life calendar somewhere, or throw that on social media, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, feel free to interrupt me or raise your hand if you have any questions. Yeah.
Sorry, how it pulled up student center ballroom.
Yes. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I tried to do the same thing with typing in, but it did not, and I had to just check for the program.
Yeah, so there are locations on campus that are pre-populated. So if you type in like student center, it should populate down with different rooms. So if we were in room 10, for example, it should come up there. I've noticed that the address sometimes doesn't populate, so you can go in and add that if you know it, and then click. Cool.
But like, for example, Scott Hall is not downloaded either, so we don't have Scott Hall.
Yeah, and if it's not in there, you can easily just type it in. If that also works as well. And if you have that right address, say if it's at, at the pharmacy school or wherever it's located, and that address is not there. If you type the address in, it'll have a map on the Cork app, and also when you look at the icon here, or the image here, it should also include the correct address that you put in. It should populate right here as well. And so, like I said, if you have additional dates of your events or whatever, maybe it's a meeting, if it's reoccurring, you can put that in here as well, because that'll save you a lot of time instead of having to redo every event, adding the description, adding the title, adding the theme. And if it's only one small change, say like you're doing 5 events and more or less the titles are the same or something is like tweaked a little bit, you can create the events and then go back in and edit the individual events instead of having to like recreate a whole new event. And from my understanding, you can't edit the block of events at the same time. Yeah, so if you create 5 events on this page, but you had a typo on this and you click submit, all 5 events of course will have the typo. You can't edit all 5 at once. You have to go into each event individually and then edit those. So make sure that when you click submit that everything looks great, because you can't actually go back as a series and edit. You can only do them individually. Say you have one event that's online and then or in person, the other one next week will be online. You can also add instructions, so you can maybe put the meeting ID and password in this box and put like the link to the page under online link location or location link, and then save that, of course, and that's another way. The event visibility, this is the tool that I was kind of talking about earlier. If you want your event to be shown to the public, then it'll be on the then it'll just be under public. So no login required. You'll just have folks come in and click on get on the Get Involved website. Maybe they're not Wayne State students, so just click on, you'll make sure it's public and they can see it. If you want your event to only be shown once someone logs in, then you're going to utilize the students and staff at Get Involved. So that's anybody with a Wayne State login that can get on the page can see this. Say you only want it to show to your members in your roster. So you're having a private event, a meeting only for your folks in your roster. That's the feature you would use here. And say that you only wanted to send it to invited folks that you invite from the event page, or you don't really want it posted because you're utilizing it for something else, maybe just the event check-in feature. You would do the invited users only, and this won't show up anywhere unless you invite somebody, but it'll still create a way for you to check students in. We'll help you out with that. So what I typically do for my events is I don't necessarily have events that are open to the public. They're only for students at Wayne State or staff. So I usually click on this. But Heather will talk about promotions and how you have to actually make it public for promotions. But she'll talk more about that. Did you want to talk about the involvement record? Okay. So there is a box here that's called the involvement record. Just know that if you check this, it'll show up on that, and Heather will talk a bit more on that feature in just a second as well. So we'll check that for now. Event categories, you can click as many categories as you want if it pertains to the organization. Events, if it's a meeting that's academic co-curricular, for example. If it's virtual, you want to click that there as well. You can click as many of these if you want employees to come to your events as well. I don't know if there's any special perks. So if you are giving out free food or whatever may be at the event, with that, you can check that there. We'll talk more about the Warrior Rewards program, but just know there are two. There will be one for them, right? Just the one. The Warrior Rewards will show up. This one won't. But say you want your event to be part of the Warrior Reward program, you'll click on that as well, and we'll talk more about that program in just a bit as well. Just 2 simple questions here. If there's a fee, yes, and then type it in. If there's not, just click on no. Is there tickets for the event, even if it's free? So if you're giving out tickets to attend, even though it's a free event, click that here and click on yes, and then add the answer. Moving forward, there is an RSVP system that you can utilize. Just know that with RSVPs, you can't necessarily utilize that to send out or to have it. How do I explain this? So like if you have an RSVP only, but you have the Zoom link, for example, and the Zoom password on your page, there's not a way where you can post the Zoom link on your page, but only show if you RSVP. So if you don't want that publicly shown on your event page, don't post it. And then once you get all your RSVPs, then I would recommend exporting all of the folks RSVP'd and then send them a Zoom link so it's not posted publicly on your page. So if you do want to RSVP, anybody can, or only folks you invite, or maybe no one. Maybe you just want to have it posted with no RSVPs. So click on anyone if you do want an RSVP system to happen. Say you only got approved to have an event in the Student Center for 30 people. So you put 30 there, or if it's you plus 29 others, that is 1 there. If you want to show a countdown of how many spots are remaining, you can click on that box. If you're allowing guests, and if there's a limited number of guests, you can add all those in as well. And then if you want to have students RSVP for your event, but also have them note they're part of a student organization, like for this event, if you all RSVP'd, if you clicked on yes, it also asks you, hey, what organization are you a part of? You can check this box here, and you can make it required. That's what we did, because we wanted to make sure that you're a part of an organization. And then you can ask any RSVP questions. So, hey, do you have any dietary restrictions? Hey, do you have any preliminary questions for this event? Like how we kind of asked with this RSVP as well. And so you can do that here. You can add a summary if you'd like, but you add the questions, whether it's a single line, multi-line, radio, checkbox, drop down, all through the system here. And so you check that, then you add your question, click next. And so on the flip end, when you check students in, so folks everyone here use the event pass to check students in, or to get your self-checked in. Once you're checked in, the system itself knows that they attended the event, and then they can send out a post-event feedback notification right after. So if you really want to know, hey, how do I do it? How was the event? The system will automatically send out like a 5-star rating scale. And so if you click on this, that'll automatically send it out within 72 hours after the event. You also can send out the notification again within your event management page as well. If, for example, you added somebody in that wasn't checked in, but they forgot to check in, you want to add them back in, you want to send out another notification out, you can push the button there within your event management page as well. If you have any follow-up questions that you want to ask them, hey, do we answer all your questions or anything else you want to ask, etc., you can do the same thing from the back end. You can ask questions based on those same question types here as well. So then you can upload an image if you have an image. If you don't have an image for your event, based on your event category type, then we'll have a stock image in place for you there. This is actually really helpful if you have multiple events. The image will go to all the events that you have selected within that reoccurring feature. So if you, instead of doing this 5 times for 5 different events, you can just all do it once and the image will apply to all 5. And then you can add an image or skip it. And then it'll ask you to submit your events, which looks a little bit differently from that. But then you have a test event. And so this is kind of like your event management page from the back end. So you can see, hey, there's an event, it's visible just to students and staff on Get Involved. Your event has been approved once it is approved, etc. If you have anybody RSVPing, it'll show up under here. And actually, I'm going to show you all how this looks from the back end with today's event. So if you go on the event, click on Manage Events, it'll show you the same thing. So we had 32 people RSVP for this event. Whether they selected yes or no depends on when you go into invitations to RSVPs, it actually shows you. So 3 people said no, they're not coming today. 29 said yes. There are 71 spots remaining out of the 100. And you can click on, to get more information about what club they're they're representing and whatnot. If for whatever reason you need to go in and cancel the RSVP, you can do that there as well. And then of the 31 or 32 that were invited or selected yes or no, 22 folks have been checked in by the engagement navigators that use the event pass today. And you can actually see that here by track attendance, and you actually can say, hey, Jacob is here, but they left early, so you want to add a comment, or if you want to mark them as absent or excused, whatever it is, you can do all that through this feature here. And of course, you can export all this data into a nice Excel spreadsheet, so you can get that whether it's for all your meetings or if you're tracking attendance for your organization, if there's an attendance requirement, etc. Any post-event feedback, so after that notification is sent out, will be shown right here. This box or this area right here only shows you the stars, so the star rating. If you have any after the event, once the notification is sent out, if you want to export any of the qualitative data, so any of the comments that were written in versus just the rankings, you can do that through export and feedback. And if for whatever reason the automatic notification forgot to be checked and it didn't get sent out, or if you want to send out again, you can click on this button here. And actually, if I click it now, you all are going to get an email saying, hey, please rate the event. So actually, you all are going to get automatic email after this event saying, hey, rate the event today. If I want to send it out again, then I'll click this button here. Yes? Yeah. So we'll talk about how to manage your roster and how to do that. So we need to cover it. Yeah.
So I see this right now, it's time and the access code. So the access code is what's going to the app on the campus lab system.
Yes.
So that's for us to like.
As event leads or, yeah.
Right, and then, what is
So, yeah, so I'll talk about this now since we got a few questions about it. But this is also just like the brief rundown of the event management part. If you're checking in people for your events, like we did today, you can do it one of 2 ways. One's through the Campus Labs CheckIn app. and that's all listed through the trainings page. So if you go under right here, how to use event check-in app and track attendance. So this is for in-person events, more or less. So you'll have to download the Campus Labs check-in event app. And so this is for folks that are managing the event. Maybe you're putting on the event as your student or president or whatever it may be. You'll only need to download this app as person checking in. If you are a student attending the events, you can either download the Cork app or just go on the Get Involved website and obtain the event pass. And that event pass is a QR code that you'll scan in on the Campus Lab check-in app. The Campus Lab check-in app will make you put an event code in. The event code is linked to your event. So you will put this event code in to that app, and then it'll ask you to log in with your access ID and password. And then you can start checking folks in with their event pass. And so if you go to the Cork app and then click on the top left corner with the arrow and click on event pass, that's one way to get it. Another way to get it is also by just going to your face or your icon here and clicking on event pass. Or you can just go to getinvolved.wayne.edu/event pass. And so this event pass is linked to you as a Wayne State student. It's not linked to the event. So I would recommend screenshotting it, adding it to your Apple Wallet or whatever phone type that you have. It doesn't change for your whole time here at Wayne. It's linked to your access ID, not to the event. And so when you scan that, it actually pulls in, like I showed you here, to the attended. So we scanned in 22 folks today, and so if I click track attendance, it'll capture that information. So you don't need paper and pencil when you're doing, when you're checking in folks before your meeting. Or if you're tabling outside, you don't need to have a paper and pencil to like get access IDs and then have to type it all in. You can basically just scan folks in, and then you can export it this way. The swipe feature doesn't work, so please don't use that there, just so you know. Because we're not swiping one card, we're just scanning folks in. And the same thing goes if you're having a virtual event on Zoom, for example, and you want to check people in that way. So instead of like taking a screenshot or getting a report from Zoom saying, hey, who attended my event? All you have to do is copy this link here, and if you paste it into your address bar, if someone clicks on it and clicks enter, there's a thing that says your attendance has been recorded. So that's it. Now I've been attended to the event. It captures all your access ID information from logging in, and that link is unique to this event. So then now if I go back to this page, it should go up to 20, I think it was already 22, so 23 or 24. And then my attendance is also tracked that way within that link. You can see me being checked in now. If you export it, it'll tell you when someone was checked in. On the event check-in app, you can also do check-out. So if you want to check out people after your event's over, just to get a range of a sense of how many people are in the room at a time, that's also an option. Anything I missed, Heather?
When you're checking people into the app, it'll also give you an eye status. So for example, if you have a limit of 30 people at your event, and you see, okay, this person did not RSVP for this year, how can you step aside and say, I need to step aside until all the RSVPs get here, and we all know what's happening. Maybe that person was like 50 events, and we still know what's happening. So it's a great way to check people in and out, because room count is full right now, so you get to the number correct.
Yep. And there is a way within the app to also utilize access ID for lookup. If you have a long line, for example, or if they can't find their event pass for whatever reason, you can also do it that way. But the incoming class of students this past year and a couple years back all know how to use the event pass because they've used it on the first day for orientation part 2. So if you are a senior, maybe you never used it when you came here as a first year student, but this past year, of course not last year, but the year prior to that, we've all utilized it. So we're trying to create the tradition or the habit of folks utilizing the event pass. So feel free to use it at your events. As more and more students get to know how to use it, the easier it is for you to track attendance and other things as well. Yes? You start requiring it for your events, and you start doing it, and that way, when they come to your events again, they know. There's also the Warrior Reward incentive that we'll talk about too, and how that encourages folks to have a sign-in or like a check-in, so that if it's an event and you want it to count towards Warrior Rewards, that's a way to get a point. So we're not going to know who comes to your events if you don't check them in. And that's a way for us to also keep track of how many folks are attending events and programming and whatnot as well. Are there any other questions on anything I talked about? The event, creating an event, event passes, anything on the back end of looking at events and how this works. So now if I go into the overall organization or the events tab, you'll see this test event that I created that I'll go in and later and delete as well. Yes?
If you have, particularly if you have RSVP turned on, if for whatever reason you cancel your event, please do it. Or just put it, just your one. But if you cancel an event, it also has you look up the comment. So then anybody who RSVPs your event will automatically get alerts to the email that the event is canceled. So just another simple.
Yeah, it's really easy to go ahead and cancel an event. Once you're in your events and click on manage events, you'll just go ahead and either change the details if you have to change some things. When you do change details, it does send an email to folks that are RSVP'd. So say you change the time or location, it'll send an automated email that way. I'm going to cancel this. You can add a closing comment saying rescheduled to so-and-so or whatever it may be. And then I'll do the same for this because there was 2-day events. And so now it's successfully canceled from there. Yes?
How do you actually get access to the space once you?
We're going to have them talk about Student Center. So that's a good transition. Are there any other questions about this online platform part of it? And then the Student Center is here to talk about other fun things within the building itself. Yes?
Outside of the student center, so like there was school business. How
So-
would you go about, is that separate?
Do you want to talk about those as well?
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Do you want to plug in yours?
Yeah,
or-
can I just, do they need a break? Is it 40 minutes? You guys
Y'all
good?
need a break?
Good?
Good? Okay. Got it. And everything you do is being recorded
Okay.
on the screen, but not your face.
All right, give me 1 second here. All right, everybody. My name is Andrea Gerber. I'm the director of the Student Center, and I'm joined today by Jessica Beasley. She's one of our reservation supervisors. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the nitty-gritty of how do you actually get a space in the Student Center run spaces or other places across campus. It's not always super easy for you guys to figure it out because there's a lot of different places across campus that different people run. So I will talk as much as I can about the spaces that we manage, and then kind of give you some ideas for the other spaces as well. Okay, I don't exactly know what Brandon, I wasn't here the entire time, so I don't know how much Brandon covered, so if I'm covering something he already did, please just give me the keep it moving it, you know. So I'm gonna talk to you today about figuring out the best place for your event, what is offered, what do we have? How to make a reservation in our system. I'm walking you through that. Jessica is our expert here, so she can walk through any detail-y technical stuff if you have questions about that. I'm going to talk about the Campus Health Committee approval process. So what this magical committee that approves these events, what happens, what are they looking for, right? Talk about food a little bit. And you guys want to have food at your event and what that means. The details. So the little nitty-gritty stuff that helps your event run smoother. And then we're going to end it with the don't-do list. We have found some things that are happening because y'all are smart and you're trying to skirt the rules a little bit sometimes. So we're going to give you the don't-dos because it makes it actually more difficult for everybody. So is there anything else you guys wanted me to cover? Big generic things before I start? Or does this sound good?
You covered, I'm not gonna say it, but this food policy.
Yep, food's coming up.
Yeah, I was gonna say funding.
Funding is, yep, that's not me, but yeah. I will, but yeah, we'll charge, they pay. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't gonna go through each specific room, but I can kind of cover some of the ones They're probably the hottest ones, just because they're expert in which rooms do what on campus. So to start, figuring out where to have your event. So the Student Center manages the following locations. So this physical building here, right? So all the spaces, the Hillberries, 201, the meeting rooms, the lower level stage, the vendor table, the book sale, bake sale, anything in this physical space. We also manage most of the outdoor spaces. So Peace Commons is the only one that you can have music at. So that's one key things. If you're having an event with loud music, Peace Commons, that's the one in front of Chatsworth, that big, huge open field. That's where we're approved to have sound during certain times, right? Gullen Mall, so Fountain Court area, all of that. And the St. Andrews Lawn. We just added that new place this year after the renovation of Anthony Wayne Drive was complete. So that's a new place that you guys can have events. McGregor, so McGregor is under our management as well. I will say McGregor comes with a fee. So there's a few spaces that we manage to have a fee for students. St. Andrews, I didn't put community arts up here, sorry. Community arts, those are the ones that you guys would have special events, and you asked about funding. Some of those are the funded events through those. So if you're looking for a specialty event at St. Andrews Community Arts or McGregor, there are fees associated with those spaces. We just started working with the STEM building, the new space over there. There are not rooms, there's not meeting rooms yet to reserve. We're like this close to making those live, but there are touchdown rooms. So if you are looking for a small space for maybe 3 people on your e-board to have a little meeting, you can book those now. If you want a space to study, you want a space to take your class, like virtually, but you're on campus, you can reserve those rooms through the booking system right now. So those are available, just not the big classrooms just yet. There's like 12 touchdown spaces in there. Anywhere, what that's about 3 to 12 people, 10. So they're small rooms. And then the bake sale locations across campus, there's multiple of those. We do have a few other random meeting rooms in different buildings. The lounges mostly. So they're not utilized a lot by student boards, but they're available as well. So when you're booking any of these spaces, it's going to go through the process I'm about to show you. When you are booking other spaces, classrooms on campus, you're working with DOSO and their team to book that space, okay? So how do you make a reservation? How do you do it? You go to studentcenter.wayne.edu, you'll see the reservations page, okay? There's a ton of directions on there about how to make a reservation. The arrow is clicking, how do you make a reservation, right? Then you can save this, but then you're gonna, the next screen will say like link into EMS, Event Management System. That's the university's software that reserves rooms on campus. You will see a variety of spaces to choose from. So, is it linked to their personal account? That's what they see. No. Okay. So you'll have to look and scroll through to find student center event spaces, go to student center conference room, find what you want on the list, and then you're going to get put into the EMS portal. You have to have an account for the EMS portal. We used to have it auto-generated with your access ID and your password. We are working towards that, but we're currently upgrading the system and reworking it for all of campus. So that component of it is down. If you have not booked an EMS before, you'll get a little error that's right on the thing that says you have to create an account by emailing this. That's Jessica. She will answer it. She'll create you an account. Once you do it once, you're good to go. Okay? Once you get into software, I'm not going to go through all the details of it, but you will then click. You can search different rooms. If you guys want, I can show you it later and go into the details, but you can search spaces that are available, which ones at which occupancies. So if you have an event for 40 people, you can look at which ones will hold 40 people. If you know what you're looking for, it'll show you if it's available. It's a pretty intuitive system. Once you select the room that you want, then you'll add all the details. So you'll put in your event description. Please, 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 don't write training for the event title and training for the event detail. We need to know what you're doing in these rooms so that we can be an advocate for you, for the campus health committee, so we can explain what the event is. So when they look at it to review if it's an event that they'll approve, we have details in the system. So what we see a lot of student groups do is just try to do it as fast as they can. And they hardly give us any details. But we can't be your advocate if we don't know what you're doing. We can't help you figure out if you're missing a podium and a microphone if you're doing a presentation if you don't tell us what's going on. You have a question?
Yeah, do you have the ability for student organizations to have recurring meetings or monthly meetings?
Yeah. Yep, and you can do that in that software as well.
Okay, so outside of specific events?
Correct.
Just normal?
Yeah, so you guys are allowed 2 recurring meetings per week. And then events are separate. So what we figure is that's a general body meeting once a week and an e-board meeting once a week. If you need more than that, let us know and we will try to work with you on it. There are a few groups that have reasons why they need more than 2 recurring. What we ask you do not do is don't start to create 5 more student orgs so that you can have 2 recurring reservations per student org. Do you get what I mean? That makes it far more complicated in the system. We're trying to figure it out. Just call us and tell us what you need. We'll try to work with you, okay? If it's a reasonable request. So the campus health committee approval process. This is what's holding up some of your guys' reservations, and I know that it's a little challenging right now. It just is what it is. The campus is trying to make sure that we're doing safe events for our students, faculty, and staff in our community. So what's happening is you guys will submit your event request in the back end. We take that, all the information that you give us, we submit it to the campus health committee. That is if your event is over 30 people indoors and over 50 people outside. We are seeing a ton of events coming in at 29 people that are not for 29 people. So please be honest about how many people you actually have coming to your event. Go ahead.
So what if I reserve a room for an event I have in the morning? Because it's one room reserved, so, you know, my board members can have it, let the members know. But I don't know, like, let's say for our club, like, the Valley Life, people, we don't get more than 30 people. So what number would I put for how many people are coming, because that number is confused with 15, it might be 20. So
I would take your best guess at what you think it is, the max of what you think it might be, and go with that number. Because what we cannot do is if you are approved for 35, I cannot add more chairs. So I can give you 35 chairs, and that is it. So on the day of, you can't say, hey, we got 10 extra people. So you gotta kind of just be realistic about, like, I really think I'm gonna get to 50. Don't put 150, because the likelihood of you getting an approved event is lower, right? But put the max of what you realistically think you're gonna have, and then you guys need to know that's capped. Day of, you can't add more. No, there's no penalty for overestimating other than it might not get approved if it's too many. There's like a sweet spot, you know what I mean? So if you're, let's just talk about an indoor event, you're over 30, it comes in the system. We put it in to another, so that we take all the data, we hand put it into another system for the campus health committee, They meet once a week. So, once a week, that's all they review it. So you guys have to plan ahead. Your events cannot be last minute. We had more than a handful that were trying to get in last minute for you, and they just aren't getting approved that fast. So I would say that you guys need to be working at least 2 weeks out if you're having an event over 30 or 50, depending on where you're at, okay? What will happen is we put all the details in. Remember when I talked back to making sure you gave us a lot of details to be your advocate? We fill it out to the best that we can, and then we have to wait. So they typically are reviewed Thursday afternoon, sometimes Friday, and then literally the second we get responses, we start emailing you guys out. Okay, we're not sitting on these at all. We are moving as fast as we possibly can. Sometimes we get questions from the campus health committee. What happens is I will then, or Jessica or whoever will contact your group. Please respond. Please answer the phone. Please tell us the information we need. We put it back in the system. Again, it's only reviewed once a week, so it's going to sit there for an entire week until it's reviewed again. So if you don't put enough details in the beginning, they'll ask questions. It'll take another week to get a response. So you're looking about 2 weeks out if there's any questions on your event. Does that make sense? Yeah, go ahead. He's asking a general body meeting where only people can see it. He's asking how to get involved, so. All right, so that's why it's helpful, like, for you guys to understand the process. I know there's student orgs that are frustrated that it's taking so long. Trust us that we're trying to be your advocate and we're trying to move as fast as we can with this, okay? So, any questions about Campus Health Committee? I will tell you what I am seeing. If you're having food at an event, very difficult to get approved. If you have a large crowd, more difficult to get approved. Think about even though social distancing isn't required, think about the size of the room you're booking. Look at this. We are so clearly far more social distance than we would normally be. So think about the spaces you're booking, book bigger than you need. That's what we're seeing getting approved. Dances are not getting approved, typically. So we've seen one that just got approved that was like, there was dancing on a stage as a performance. But I think that's the only dance that I've seen get approved. So you have to think a little bit differently about the risk factors. There is no one cookie cutter thing that's getting approved. So I can't tell you if you're going to have 75 people sitting down in a workshop, it may get approved for this room, but not approved for the next room. Okay, so they're looking at a lot of stuff. So book big, limit food, no dancing. That's my suggestion. So that one's under 30 people, and you can book it and we can approve it. Yep, it's quick. It's not immediate, but 48 hours or so. Ish. Jessica's the only one doing it right now. We normally have a team of 3, and there's 1 person. So we're doing the absolute best we can to get them done, okay? So let's talk about food a little bit. There are some new food rules coming into effect very, very, very soon that you guys are going to be super excited about. Right now, what I would suggest for you guys is to, if you're having food at an event that gets approved, that you're still looking at your prepackaged snacks, easy stuff, right? Pizza, you can bring in pizza. Do not order your pizza 4 hours in advance. Have it delivered and sit here for 4 hours before you serve it. Okay, you guys got to think about timing of the food. There are also vendors on campus, so this list of people right here, so Jimmy John's, Leo's Cooking Island, all those have been approved to cater your events under a certain amount of money, all right? So it's 200 at the moment, it will be 1,000 soon. So, correct. Now, I will say, the people who run this facility are not excited about this. I know you all are. Because this is what we're seeing. These people have no idea this physical layout. They are bringing in and dropping off stuff. They're not picking their stuff up. They're not cleaning it. They're not bringing utensils. So you need to be very clear with who you're ordering the food from on this list of what you need, okay? You cannot not order from Aramark, and then when Jets doesn't bring you plates and forks, go to Aramark and ask them for plates and forks. Right? So we have seen it over and over and over again. So when you guys are doing your food, if there is food at the event, make sure that you're thinking through everything that Aramark used to provide you. That these companies are not going to do that. So all of a sudden you have a spaghetti dinner and you have no plates and no napkins. Okay? Not trying to be grumpy, but that's really, and then if you're getting chafing dishes and stuff, you have to make sure at your event that that's taken care of. You can't leave it, even if your vendor left, you can't leave it for the student center to take care of. Go ahead.
You clarify, $200 or less without any approval is.
Yeah, so it's 200, you can do 200 or less without any approval. Under 1,000, still fill out the waiver, but it should be in the next week or two, then the whole website is changed, and you can do under 1,000 with no approval.
Probably not, but, let's say we want to bring in non-perishable snacks, does that have to be under 200 as well? What if I just have to put my basement with I don't know, my family went to Costco and bought them, and I want to bring those, that all has to be
Yeah, you should be doing it. So it will be 1,000, but make sure you're not bringing stuff random from your basement to feed people. We still need to have it safe. I'm just kidding. I'm joking with you, but yeah. So it is $200, and you guys got to think about it is you're not bringing cream cheese for bagels. There's stuff that goes bad that you can't bring without health and safety approval. Or if you have any questions about food that's not kind of clear in here, just put in a food waiver. It comes directly to me or Katie, you. We'll check it and we'll work with you. Jeannie, the health inspector, also looks at all of them.
What do you need access to?
Sure, it's right on the website, on the student center website. There's under food, under that how to make a reservation, there's a food section, and there's a link right on there. Again, I'm working on updating it. Any other questions about food? All right, am I running out of time? I'm sorry, Brandon. All right, the details. When you guys are booking an event, this is what drives Jessica nuts a little bit. Think about the details. Where do you want your tables? Do you need a podium? Do you need a microphone? Do you need a speaker's table? Do you need a coat rack? Is it in the winter? What can we do ahead of time? Put it in the system for us so our team can set that room and have it ready to go for you before the event starts. Because it's really difficult for us right now on site to do those last minute changes. Okay? So just really take a minute, review the reservation. You can always log back into the system. If you guys had a board meeting and you thought, oh yeah, we're gonna have some chairs along the side for the speakers to sit. Go back in the system, add them. Yeah. So it depends on what you want. The question is sound and keys commons. Can we provide that, like a sound system, or do you guys have to arrange it? The answer is it depends. We do have an outdoor sound system, but if you are wanting the step show, we're not going to do the step show. That's beyond, right? If you want just a generic sound system like this, with one microphone. If you're bringing in a band, that's external. Does that help? All right, the don't list. So please don't make the attendance number of your event 29 when it's more. We talked about this before. We cannot add chairs. Please don't steal the chairs from the lounge to make your event bigger. So regularly in the building right now, we will set an event for 29. We come in after the event is over and all the lounge furniture from that lounge is in this room to make it for 50. And they just took the chairs out, okay? So please don't do that. We can't add the chairs last minute. And then the other thing that we're seeing is splitting the reservation. So, for example, a reservation in Hillbury EF, or say here, right? See these divider walls? What groups are doing is they're booking Hillbury A for an event for 25 people. Then they're booking Hillbury B for an event for 25 people. It's one event, but they're trying to get it through the system because it's an event for 50 that would need approval. They're trying to get it through the system for 2 for 25. So it's taking Jessica and I on the back end a lot of time to dig through these events. Please just be upfront and honest with you. We'll try to work with you to get your event approved, okay? Just work with us and we'll do the best we can for you. But the more you guys try to skirt the system and deliberately try to break the rules, it makes it harder. So those are just a few of the things. That's all I have for you at the moment. Are there questions? I think overall, most groups are doing the right things. They're logging in, they're reserving properly. But those are just some of the stuff we're seeing. The literature tables downstairs. Yeah, so you guys know, north is Starbucks, south is UDL. With north.
Is there a contact at my village that I can reach out to? Or is that also?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to us and we'll get you in contact with the reservation spaces down there.
So there are special regulations in the state of Michigan that you can do that at a bake sale. But for your own event, it needs to be prepackaged or come from a catered kitchen.
So if you wanted to do like a fundraising event at an event, so you can't do that, that would have to be separate in order to comply.
Correct. Were you the one that put it in today? Well, literally that question came in today. Yeah, no, there's somebody put in an event for a movie night where they want to have a concession stand. So we give you guys, the university provides the student center rooms free. So you can't use the free student center room to make money for your org. So you could rent a bake sale table and have a bake sale downstairs and do your movie night with your license in the ballroom. But we can't have like home baked goods in the bar.
We can clarify that because that would just be a week from now.
So that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Cool.
Thank you guys.
A couple of other small event things. So Brandon showed you how to walk through the Get Involved system. The Get Involved system is different than the EMS system. So the Get Involved system also does reservations for classroom space. If you do put something in for my village that way as classroom space, then we assist you in contacting my village because we can't make that reservation yet, but there are classrooms that we help you reserve. So anything that comes in like that, we assist in making sure you guys get the spaces that you need. We just can't confirm those reservations because those help happen elsewhere. Correct. But if you put it in through Get Involved as a classroom space, we help you get connected, and then we still approve your event so it shows up on your org's page. If you're not making a classroom reservation, But you still, for example, like you have a student center event, but you want to get involved, there's a drop down that says parade event. So you get either reserved classroom space or parade event in the get involved system. That way you have your complete calendar within the system. Well, but yeah, anytime you have, like, I don't know how to reserve this building or whatever, get in touch with us and we will pretty much guarantee that we'll be able to contact whoever's in the building or find out who that person is. Because as we're helping more and more of the student orgs across campus, we're finding they want more buildings like McGillis or nursing or med or whatever. So
Even outside of reserving space, this is still a proper channel to go through.
yeah, our office is there to assist student orgs from all of the schools and colleges. So if you have questions and we don't know them, we will find out the answer for you. So that way you're not hunting continuously to find something. Yeah. On the event line, we talked a little bit about Warrior Awards. Student organizations can add their events to Warrior Awards. Let me get out of this real quick while I'm talking about it. On the Dean of Students Office page, if this is backwards, under Get Involved and Warrior Awards is kind of more details, how to sign up. You can sign up to receive Warrior Awards, attend events, you earn free swag, is pretty much the gist of it. But student organizations can add their events to count for credit for these things. So if you create an event, add the Warrior Awards category and take attendance, everybody who attended your events gets credit towards the sweatshirt for this year. So please make sure that you're just doing it for events and not your meetings. If you do catch meetings, we're going to take away that category from you guys. But please feel free to use it for all of your events. So that's Warrior Awards. Please sign up. We've got over 500 students signed up so far. We've got some students who have already earned their t-shirt. We'll be distributing the rewards at the end of each the fall and winter semesters. The next exciting thing that we're going to talk about is SAFB. If you have specific questions about SAFB and the programming, Dr. Strauss is here to answer those. But as of today, we have actually changed how you apply for SAFB funding. So the Get Involved system has a nifty budgeting tool. If you go on the Dean of Students Office page, click on Student Organization Resources, and then apply for funding. All of the policies for SAFB are on here. If you have more questions, please, again, call or email our office. We'll get you in touch with Dr. Strauss, who's setting up SAFB right now. But also our How to Apply for Funding link is on here, again, with a short video, screenshots, and how to do that. But I will show you how to do that now. You go to a student organization real quick. Somebody give me their student organization. Quick. Model UN. Check. As a, I don't know if I can, yeah, I can't because Brianna's got it. It's all good. Sometimes they're in there twice. All right. So once you're in the management side of your student organization, you click on that toolbar and go down to Finance. So it's no longer a form in the Forms tab. It's actually built in as a tool. We've automatically given access to the Finance tool to any listed officer on your organization. If you've created an officer position, like the VP of childcare programming, I don't know, my kid just started childcare this week, so it's on my mind. You're going to have to give them access to this. But any of the ones that we automatically create in the system, like president, vice president, treasurer, we've given them access to this page. So when you come in here, you'll see purchase and funding. Those tools are not turned on, but they still show up on the page. Ignore them. Budget is the one you want. Hit create a request, and then create budget request. I'm not going to do this because I don't think Model UN has something going on. But I'm going to go back to this, this submit here. I'll just let this play. There's no sound in there. But it's really quick and easy. You come in there, you go to the toolbar, click on Finance, create report. You fill out a little bit of detailing. Give us a synopsis of what your event details are, when it's happening. Give us, again, the more description we have, the better we can help you out. And then on this final page, you're actually going to get an itemized budget on your request in here.
So add your line items. We're requesting that we're going to have pizza. Pizza's a line item. You have 10 pizzas at $5. You put that in, it adds the total for you. You want cake. Add cake in there. When you add those items, we ask that you upload a quote or a link. Like, for example, if you're ordering decorations from Amazon, give us the Amazon link so we can see the pricing of what you're ordering. All of that is available in the descriptions of those each itemized items. Sorry, it's really hot talking through this thing. So the platform hopefully will be easier for you to digest and submit something, but then it's also going to be easier for our board to break down what you guys are asking for, get all the information, and then send it back to you. In the old form system, if they didn't like it, they had to deny it. There's only approve, deny in the forms. This way, if they have questions, they can actually return it to you for revisions and say, oh, we need more detail on your speaker. We need more information about why they're performing at this event. Or they can approve it with adjustments. Say you ask for $100 to bring cake for an event for 30 people. That's a lot of cake. And they'll adjust it down to $20 or something like that. But anyway, it's meant to be really, really easy for you guys to adjust and submit the forms. So, yes?
Is the budget reset for every organization on an annual basis, or is it?
We're not like some campuses where you get X amount of money every year.
Right.
Like School of Medicine does that, but that's outside of the system. Each org gets so much money. I don't know if MISB does as well, not sure. From our office, it's event by event request. You guys don't actually get the money. We assist you once it's approved. We assist you with paying out the vendors.
Okay. Is there a way, so like let's say our organization is just in purchasing marketing materials for our vendors, is there a way, do we just take that cost on ourselves?
Hold that for when I come up.
Okay.
Finish your thing and then I'll.
Yep. So Dr. Strauss will answer the questions about the process. I will answer questions about the submitting. And so if there's any other questions about how to submit the form, I can answer those now. If not, I'll have Dr. Strauss come up and talk about SAP. Cool? I think the floor is yours.
Give me a mic. What do you call a fish who wears a bow tie? A fish who wears a bow tie. Amy Cooper, you're not allowed to say it. Anybody?
I don't know, Dr. Strauss, what do you call it?
Sophisticated. What comes after part D? You know, part D. Party.
What comes before part B?
Partay. And then my nephew who lives in Texas, I say, how you doing? Good. I say, all right. Back on the top. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way. Amy Cooper, it's great to be back.
Love you.
Can't do this on Zoom. All right. Well, hi. Thank you all for coming to this. Appreciate it very much. I'm David Strauss, the Dean of Students. Good to see you. Student Activity Funding Board. So Heather went through with you the form, the process. It's located on our homepage. A couple steps to go through. Use your Get Involved portal. We can help you with all of that. What I want to just go over with you real briefly is the rules and regulations, and really most important for me, the opportunities that come from Student Activity Funding Board. The one thing that I would call your attention to that's really important is the dates and deadlines, okay? So that is where we find the biggest issue. So you'll see here, first column, when is your event? Second column, the deadline that this proposal has to be submitted. Third column, when the meeting by the committee is being held. So perfect example, today is the 7th. That means any event on or after the November 7th is going to be considered. Applications were due yesterday. Meeting is this afternoon. That's one of the biggest issues we have is students don't plan in advance for these. Number two is we have to take into consideration, and Andrea might have gone over this, I missed part of her presentation, but we have to consider timeline for COVID protocol approvals. Did she talk about that? Good. Okay, you gotta add a couple weeks on that. That's gonna take that's gonna take 2 weeks. So I have organizations that'll ask me, can you know, we're having an event on Monday, can we do something? I wish I could. I just can't. Because I'm so glad we're here. I'm so glad we're back. I am having so much fun at all these activities. We have been thrilled, overwhelmed, overjoyed by the attendance of these activities. There is money to be had. Please, please, please apply for it. Have events. Now, what does that mean? Money is provided, and there's a whole list of the rules in this accordion of funding eligibility. Okay? Right here, fundable and non-fundable expenses. Now, I just am going to give you the highlights. I have charged the committee to be very flexible with funding. I'm not going to worry about $50 more on food, for example. In fact, we have raised the food limit. This is going to be updated. Heather and myself and Fatima Hamoud, who's the chair of the committee, met yesterday, and we've upped some of these things. So it's now $400 for food, not $300. That is one per organization per year, but I'm going to provide some flexibility on that and make it per semester. We want to focus on getting back and re-engaged on campus. Bring back the vibrancy that we had before COVID. We want to bring that back. And it's you all that are going to help bring that back. So whatever we can do through this funding to bring that back, keep the energy going, we're going to do. So think about ideas that you want to have. Events, programs, speakers, okay? And again, the food. More to come about that. Number two, what you're going to see changed here is the food rules and processes are confusing. They really are. We're going to clean that up for you. Again, Fatima and Heather and I worked on that yesterday. We're going to clean that up for you. We're going to make it a lot easier to navigate. Because I can't figure it out. So stay tuned. If you ever have any questions, I mean, I can't figure it out. But if you ever have any questions, Jessica Beasley, who was here earlier, and Andrea, they are amazing. And they will help you navigate any questions you have about that. They're amazing. So I highly recommend just hopping downstairs or writing SC reservations at wayne.edu, and they will help you navigate food rules. These events have to be free, on campus, and open to the public. So on campus means any Wayne State property. Okay? Scott Hall, Illich Building, here, but not an off-campus event. These really are focused on student events, not a community service project with local kids. This is all focused on support, promoting, enhancing student life, student activity. Okay. Let's do this. I know we're low on time. Questions? Yes.
In regards to advertising and activation, you said per year, that's the same way as.
Per event. Per event.
Or in regards to just the general club, let's say, whether it's 7 different, whatever the state, downstairs, and majority of, the events that go to take consider of that, or is that,
That's on the table. Yeah. These are, think about these as an event. What, something that students are engaging in. A lit table is one dimensional. You stop by, you get some information, you stop by, you buy a donut. Okay. So that's programs, activities.
I think that you're describing is more like operating expenses to the organization.
Okay.
And that's, other not that for that, a lot of things do point to that, but not the whole operating expenses. Sometimes
All right, so we don't buy things that would be of permanence. This money doesn't go for permanence. So if you wanted, so for example, I know what you mean, like if you event, every organization gets $1,500. We don't do that. This is per event. So it's not like banners, table skirts for the organization. It's not that. But if we need some pencils and paper, that's where you would just write those little names and you would help them. You're welcome.
So it doesn't matter if it's virtual.
No, it doesn't matter. Virtual's great. We want to offer virtual. Virtual's great. We had a lot of success in virtual programming during COVID when we were on shutdown. So virtual's great. Thank you for mentioning that. Let's go over here and then over there.
So I saw one of the covering expenses was workshops in the building. If we want to hold like a $3,500 workshop, and let's say that has a cost of $300 for our 10-person group, to then go be certified and for just having the and that makes sense that we
Put it in. I can't say that's going to be a question mark right now.
Okay.
I don't want to say no, but put it in.
I'm just trying to think for a workshop on skill building, any cost associated with those.
So workshop on skill building would be, we're going to bring in a speaker. So as an example, student organization brings in a speaker, has it in Hillberry A, and the speaker does a workshop on fill in the blank.
Got it. Okay.
Great question. So what her question was do you get the amount, how is the funding presented? Great question. So we, because it's university money, the Dean of Students Office serves as the fiduciary, the party responsible for it. So money does not get lump sum deposited into an account. What happens is that when you are assigned so let's say today, Group A this afternoon gets approved $1,000 for this. We then notify the group, and the group is provided a contact in the Dean of Students Office who will help the group put on the event. Do not spend any money ahead of time. Do not spend any money until you are told that you received the funds and until you're assigned a person to work with you on the event. So that is then where there are ways that we talk with you about how to present it. So for example, if it is a contracted service, let's go back to the speaker. The speaker says, okay, for $500, I'm going to come in and do this training. That is a contract. The university does not permit students to sign the contract. We sign the contract. We work with you on that. Let's say you get money for decorations. You can either go to Party City and get them, or we can order them for you on Amazon. So every event is unique. Really, it's something where one size never fits all with event funding. And that's why you're assigned either Brandon, or Ricardo, or me, or Angela, or Christina, or Teresa on my staff who will help. I have a vacancy, and that position that we will be filling will be the person who works with student groups on presenting these events. So you'll have one person who will be the guru of student programs with SAP. Right now, we're all kind of chipping in and helping. So yes, so that, it really is a nuance. But don't spend your own money. We'll help. That's why we do that 4-week out. It gives us, because there's a lot of moving pieces. You know, I wish it would, you know, it's got to go to the procurement office. It might have to go to the general counsel office. And that check has to be cut. There's a lot of moving. Any large organization has a lot of moving pieces. Yeah, in the blue. After November 7th. After. It's that 4-week window. So, can you pull that up?
Yep.
Oh, it's right here. Okay.
Yep.
So what it says is that if you're going to have an event after November 7th, it was due yesterday. The next application round is due by the 20th for anything after the 21st. So for example, if you want to have something on the 14th of November, it should have had to be in yesterday. But let's say you want to have something in March. You can apply now because it's after the 21st. There's never an out date. You want something in April. Great. Apply now. But you've got time, right? So you say, okay, I'm going to apply by the 20th for my event on February 15th because it's after November 21st. Does that help? You still look at that? Yeah, just look at the first column, identify your date, look at the first column, then use the proposal deadline on the second column. Yeah, Ricardo? Okay, we'll clean that up upstairs. There's some work being done in this area. That's why we're kind of in an interface. I personally staff lead that coordinated this, so we're just all picking up the pieces. We're kind of, we're going to make it work for you. That's why I've given my staff lots of wiggle room to do what they have to do to make this happen for students so these events can happen. We are going to make it less rigid. There's been a lot of rigidity. I want to make it benefit you, not benefit us. So that's what we're doing. And you're going to see that in the coming weeks. So always check your updates. Yeah. You're applying for funding. Good question. So what if it's not confirmed? You have to never want to confirm with the speaker that, because it's all iffy until you get the money. You want to put it in as proposed. It's all a proposal. But you have to give the speaker, right? Like we got an application that came in that's going to get rejected because they said, we're going to have 3 speakers. Well, who are they? We want to know it's Amy Cooper, it's Ricardo, it's Brandon Shimon. But right now, it's 3 people. We don't know who they are. So there needs to be some information, but the information does not, but the concrete does not have to be sealed, right? But the concrete kind of has to be poured. It just doesn't have to be part of it. Does that make sense? Go ahead. Yes, I always say yes to the Sigmas. Whatever, yes. Yes.
What happens if you miss the proposed deadline?
It depends on what it is. It depends on how big the event is. If a group misses the proposal deadline, but they just want $100 for cookies at an event, that's different than if they're now put on a production event. So I guess I would say, in principle, the deadlines stick. If there's a one-off issue, they write those to a link. We don't put, so events are approved to happen between September through the end of April. But you can apply during the summer for upcoming. We just, SAFP event funding SAFP does not provide event funding for events in May, June, July, or August before school starts. Doesn't apply for, funding is not available for finals week events, because during finals week we do have an event, it's called studying for finals. And it doesn't apply for money during when we're closed, like Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break. Yeah, in the Viking yellow break. The Raiders hat.
I don't know if we discussed this earlier, but was there any, like, is there a proposal deadline for us to deal with, like, health and safety?
I didn't recognize. Out of context. Go ahead, say it again.
So was there any guideline or proposal deadline for us to make things that don't take out on
Well, at least 4 weeks, yeah. At least 4 weeks. Yeah, so what Anthony asked was about deadlines as it relates to the health and safety protocol, which is the COVID protocol. If you do it within this 4 week, that works. See, what you want to do is, again, it goes back to that concrete has been poured, but it's not hardened. So you want to find out, oh, you know what, we're going to want to use the ballroom. Let's reserve it, just in case. It's always easier to cancel a reservation. It's always easier to make one early and cancel it than it is to try to make one late and not get it. So Emma is here to help you with that. Go so it Wayne, and then we'll apply. Yeah.
So let's say our organization, they want to keep the cost of ordering marketing materials, are there any guidelines, rules that we have to follow?
Yeah, so let me give you the quick answer. That's on the Student Organization Resources page. Here's the thing about branded materials. Okay. If you're not using university money, you're just using your own money out of your pocket, the university prefers that you follow the style guidelines. But they're not going to clamp down on you if you don't, unless you're using it for resale.
Okay, and then those guidelines are provided.
And Heather's the guru of that.
Yep.
Talk with Heather. She is the guru. She is the expert.
That's on the GPS file and everything.
She can help you with all that. She is the expert. Okay. Other questions? I know we're running short on time. Other questions? We'll be around. Joseph, Wayne, we've also got our emails. You can help.
All right, thanks, Dr. Strauss. We're actually, unfortunately, out of time, but I want to make some comments really quick on some of the areas that we did not touch on. So I just made some notes here on my phone. So there is a new system coming out within Get Involved to track your service hours, whether it's volunteer, whether it's other service that you are utilizing within your student organization. Please reach out to Heather or just email getinvolved@wayne.edu. Information will also be posted on the training website as well for that, but we did not have time to complete that. We also may be having more of these sessions to talk more, just review things for student organizations throughout the semester. Also, we've had a lot of questions about banking. Also you can email getinvolved@wayne.edu. We'll connect you with potentially Ricardo or just some details that we have on our website on banking. The Dean of Students Office no longer services agency accounts for student organizations, so we have some recommendations or just some guidelines in a sense on banking, but they're not affiliated in a sense with Wayne State. You all are able to find your own bank account, whether it's through Michigan First, through Chase.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
You gotta read it.
Yeah, just read that website, and that's all there.
Don't go down that.
And then lastly, if you are looking for general ways to just improve your student organization, whether it's through recruitment, whether it's through other services like how to create effective agendas, minutes, Maybe you're wanting to learn how to create transition guides. That is posted on the training website, but we have Golda and Sandra, who are well-versed and really active in student organizations that can help aid with those things. So if you email getinvolved@wayne.edu, we can easily just forward an email out to them, and you'll be assigned one of the engagement navigators to aid with that. Besides those three areas, if you need help with promotion, just promoting, whether it's on the Student Center TV screens, whether it's on the table tents, whether it's on the Ardoso Facebook page, etc., on the Get Involved website, the Get Involved newsletters, email getinvolved@wayne.edu. Heather will connect you with those resources, but they're also all listed on the website. When in doubt, I would say just email getinvolved@wayne.edu. It goes directly to us, and we'll branch it off to the folks at ESC here. Besides that, I want to thank you all for coming today. We will be sticking around after with any specific questions, but make sure you get a water bottle and a face mask if you haven't already. But thanks again for attending today.